Well, I just got finished watching Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. Shit. Um, if y'all want to see my live reaction, I decided okay, I'm gonna record my live reaction for it, so I'll probably upload at the same time as this. I do. The fight just happened. I do plan on uploading in the next couple days, but I'm working a few long shifts over the next couple of days, so it might be a little bit later. I don't know, but either way, when this goes up, you'll also have another video, my live reaction, which obviously I can't play the footage for you because it is pay-per-view, so it will get taken down. But I can show you my live reaction to it. But Jake Paul just beat Mike Perry in the sixth round by stoppage. This fight went very similar to what I predicted. I'm going to talk about my prediction for it. My prediction for it was I said Jake needed to be the boxer. He needed to be on the job. He needed to put the combos together and do all that. And Perry was going to be the brawler. He was going to come in. He was going to come in with his chin high and he was just going to try and attack. And I was right. A couple things that I really liked about this fight was I like Jake's jab a lot in this fight. I've said it before. I've had issues with Jake's jab in the past. I've always said that I like his jab. I like the way he throw. I like his jab. I like his jab. I like the use of a jab, but I didn't like the way he threw it because he always threw it with a flick. You know, Jake's job was always a little flick as a kind of distraction or setting him up for a right hand, and he would overuse the right hand. He would just flick the jab. This time he came in and he put power behind the jab. He stepped into the jab. He put power behind it. When he punched Perry, it wasn't just a little flick. It was actually punch. He used it as an actual shot. And I thought he did that very well. He kept using his lead left hook, which he always does. That worked out very fucking well for him because he ended up, I'm pretty sure, he dropped Perry 3 times in this fight, and I think he stumbled him 6 times. And out of those 6 times, I believe it was 4 of them he caught with a lead left hook, and that's what actually wobbled him. So it ended up working. A massive factor that I pointed out, I predicted, and it came true. I said that Jake Paul was going to be the boxer, he was going to jab, Perry's going to come in, and I said Perry was going to keep his jaw up. I thought Perry would throw more, but one thing I predicted to a T is I said Jake Paul's going to drop Perry. I said Perry might hurt Jake Paul, which he did catch him. He did hurt him a little bit, but Jake's going to drop Perry at least once, and he did. And I said, and when that happens and Perry gets hurt, and Perry decides, okay, I'm hurt, he's dropped me, etc., he's not going to back off. He's not going to change his game plan. He's going to continue to come forward. He's going to continue to throw the punches. He's going to continue to come with his chin up in the air. And I said this will inevitably be Mike Perry's downfall. When he gets hurt, his full instinct is not going to be to defend himself, to clinch, to put his hands up. His full instinct is going to be, okay, what's my best defense? More offense. So when he hurts me, I'm still going to walk him down. I'm still going to come forward. And that's going to be his downfall. And that's exactly his downfall. I predicted in round 5. And in round 5, it didn't happen. It happened in round 6, which I almost predicted. But fight went very similar to how I thought it would be. I did believe it was going to be more of a sloppy fight. Like most Jake fights, because usually Jake, he comes in, he throws a jab, he throws a couple combos together, but a lot of time he overthrows the right hand, and then it leads to them clinching and a lot and being a sloppy fight. I did believe it was going to be like that. It actually wasn't like that. I was very thankful for that. One thing I think we saw here is when Jake fights Mike Tyson, he's definitely going to have to condition himself a lot better because obviously Jake came down to 200. He went well over. I think he originally fought at around 185. Then he went well over 200 for the Tyson fight. Obviously, it got postponed to fight Perry. Perry had to come up to 200. Jake had to come down to 200. They both met. I think Jake was 200 on the dot. But obviously, between the weigh-ins, and then he probably rehydrated up to like 215 again or something like that. And we saw after the second round, Jake was gasping for air in his corner. He's not new to this. He's not used to this weight because all the other fights he's fought at a different weight, and this was his first actual fight at this weight because he hasn't fought in quite a while. So he came in with this new weight, obviously throwing the bunch of combos. He came out fast. He did start fast. That's one thing I'll say. I always say that Jake starts very slow. He's a slow starter. This time he started fast. He got out. He's through the jabs. He wasted no time. He wanted to get the knockout early as possible, and I think it's because Jake knew that he's new to this weight and he didn't want to go all 8 rounds because that's going to benefit Perry, because Perry could be fatigued as fuck and he's still going to come forward. As we saw, his legs were wobbling, he was still walking forward. So I think Jake had the urgency, like, I need to, end this now, which led to him being tired towards the end. But then he ended up getting a second win and getting it over and done with. But yes, I feel like this fight taught us a lot of things. I think it told us that Jake. I think it showed us the pros and the cons of Jake. Jake now is a good job. He throws the lead left hook very well. He showed some discipline when hurting his opponent. When he dropped Mike Perry the second time, I believe it was, when he stumbled him. When he caught him with like a jab or a left hook or something, and then Mike Perry stumbled against the ropes, Jake went directly for him and started swinging right. The first time he hurt him, Jake stayed disciplined. He did throw a good couple shots to try and knock him out, but when he realized that he wasn't landing those shots, he backed off. Then he stayed in the job and he just waited till the end of the round, came out in the second and went the game. There was a couple times where Jake did decide once he hurt Mike Perry, he just started swinging for the fences, and that's Jake's biggest downfall, is once he sees you in pain, he has the killer instinct to go in, but he doesn't think of the shots he's throwing. He kind of just swings for it. But he showed a little bit of discipline this time. He showed a little bit of IQ this time and stuck to the game plan, which Mike Perry didn't. Well, technically, Mike Perry did. Mike Perry said, I don't mind getting punched in the face, so the game plan ain't changing. And that's exactly what happened. He continued to get punched in the face, and he didn't mind being punched in the face, so the game plan didn't change. Mike Perry was coming in with his hands down like this. There was at a point, Jake wobbled Mike, and Mike literally just went with his hands down. And Jake just continued to catch him. So, honestly, I'm shocked it went that long. The only reason it went that long is because Mike Perry can take some fucking shots. And he even said in like the post-fight interview, he was like, hey, he hits a little bit harder than some people I've been in the ring with. So, man, it was a good fight. I really think that was a good fight. I think it does do good for Jake, because I know there's going to be those people that turn around and say this was rigged. Mike Perry took a bribe. He's not a boxer. All this and that, right? But let's look at it for what it is. If you're going to compare this to actual boxers and all that shit, you're never going to be happy. But say we're comparing this to just a guy who did YouTube 5-6 years ago who picked up boxing. I think it's pretty impressive because he stopped Mike Perry. Yes, Mike Perry does walk in with his hands down, he does all that, but this motherfucker does bare knuckle boxing. Mike Perry literally has a belt for being the king of violence. He doesn't have a bone in his fucking nose. Mike Perry, he takes shots that you shouldn't be able to take and continues to go forward. Jake dropped him a couple times. Now, the first one, I will admit, it was more of like a push and Perry lost his balance, but the second time hurt him. The other times he wobbled him, and then the last time hurt him. And I think Jake played the game plan very well. I think this was a good win for Jake. I obviously definitely see things he could improve on. There is times where he does lose the game plan and he kind of just goes for the swinging. There is times where a lot of times he still does it, where he throws the left, he throws the right and steps into it so much that his right foot comes off the ground and steps in front of his left foot. But he actually didn't do that this much that fight. I think most of my feedback for this fight for Jake Paul was very positive. He was throwing a lot of punches. He was landing a lot of punches. There was one round he threw 137 punches. And he landed like 40 something, 50 something, which was decent. You're not going to land them all, but the point is he's throwing 137. He has that output, even if he's not landing much. Like, he landed more than Mike Perry, and Mike Perry wasn't throwing anywhere near as much. Jake was throwing. Jake was landing more, but Jake was throwing like fucking 70 more punches than Mike Perry is throwing. And that was the difference here, because he was putting so much output that it was near enough impossible for Jake to land less punches because of how many punches he was throwing. Even when he was tired, he still did it. But there was times he knew when to reserve his energy and back up a little. So I think this is a very good win for Jake. I'm happy I predicted it there enough to a T. But yeah, man, this is... Bro, it was a good fight. I want y'all to let me know your opinions down below of the fight. Jake Paul also did call out Alex Pereira, because Alex Pereira turned around and said that he wants to come into boxing. I'm sure y'all know who Alex Pereira is. He's just literally the champion. I'm sure y'all know. Yeah, he wants to come over and do boxing. Come from the UFC and do boxing. And Jake kind of said, okay, once I fight Tyson, come over and let's do it. So that is a potential future fight if Alex Pereira gets out of his UFC contract, because obviously if he's with the UFC, they don't want to let him fight Jake Paul. But if he gets out of the UFC contract, we may see Jake Paul versus Alex Pereira. But to be honest, we'll talk about that in a different fucking video. But yeah, man, let me know all your opinions down below, what you thought of the fight. What would you give Jake Paul's performance in this fight? That's what I want you to know. Did you enjoy the fight? What grade would you give Jake Paul's performance? And what did this win tell you about Jake Paul, him progressing forward? I want y'all to let me know, because I love whenever y'all give me your opinions down below and I can kind of discuss it with y'all a little bit. You get my opinion, I get your opinion, and then we can kind of just debate it, discuss it, and see what we come up with. And it's always a fun time. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I enjoyed the fight. I have like a 10-hour shift that I need to leave for in about 3 hours, because I didn't sleep, because I stayed up to watch this fight. So wish me well. But it was a good fight nonetheless. Hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all think positive. Hope y'all have an amazing day. Jake Paul just beat Mike Perry by stopping him. So it's a crazy world we live in. But for now, have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. So peace.